Hey, we got an empire builder today. Brook Bishop joining us today, live in the lab. Coming up.
Hi, I'm Keith Bilous, and this is Live in the Lab.
All right. A little bit of weirdness in front of the camera there for anybody who's watching. So I'm like, hey, where's the button? Where's the button? I can't get it going.
How did you go viral on TikTok? You were on America's Got Talent. How much do you get paid to be on AGT? Oh, you didn't get paid.
Keith and Steve here in Live in the Lab.
You're a great interviewer. I love it.
48 miles, 48 hours. And not just once. You ain't seen nothing yet. I hit 50 last time, and I'm like, yeah, things are a little different than they were 10 years ago. So trust me, things are to keep. You have no time for the BS that much of society seems to put on the table. Why is that? Like, what you're talking about is real right now. There's just no bullshit here, but it's just real. We brought you in with some Marley. I said, Joseph, let's talk music for a second. You said, well, Keith, oldies, 60s, 70s, and 80s. I've never talked to a sir before. Why are you a sir? In many ways, we're the same story. I came from nothing. You came from nothing. I think the old saying goes that if you want a trophy, you climb Everest. If you want respect, you climb K2. I've built an around myself, and it's pretty fascinating when you can have a conversation with yourself with your own knowledge. Have you done that before? Why are we rushing to make these tools if they're all they're going to do is hurt humanity? Does the world need an Oppenheimer moment with AI?
What a fun show.
Hey, there he is. What's going on, nation? Keith Bilous popping in here on it's Tuesday. I'd look at the calendar. I'm just here every day, so just sometimes what the hell? What day is it? Hey, Brook Bishop joining us here in the lab today, an empire builder. Now, I'm not talking about the show Empire. No, we don't got Steve Buscemi. I'm sorry to disappoint you all. No Steve Buscemi in the lab today, but we have Brook Bishop. Probably second best. I'm thinking, well, here's the great thing. Usually we try to have the guests show up early so we can talk to them before we get on the show for a couple minutes, just to get assist the audio's working and the camera's working. But guess what? The guy wasn't here. So he's sitting off in the green room laughing at me. He's like, I don't know who the hell this Bilous guy is. Who's this guy yapping in the mic and the camera right now, talking shit at me? He's thinking, I'm talking shit, Brooke. That's what I like about this part of the show is I got my guests off the camera. I can just talk shit. And they can't say nothing because I got control of I got all the buttons. So Brook Bishop joining us here coming up. We like to entertain and inform. If you want to go to those shows that inform and bore, just go somewhere else. Just go somewhere else. I'm sure Brook's been on a lot of shows where he's been informed and bored. I guarantee you, he has been on tons of shows where he has been bored and informed. And he's like, what the hell did I get myself in today? You got yourself into a great conversation with interesting people, interesting topics with myself and you, Brook. Yeah, you coming up in a couple minutes. Before we get there, though, guys, before we get there, nation, a couple things I want to share with y'all today. I'm just getting on with I'm excited about all my cameras are working today. I had a chat with somebody yesterday afternoon. The cameras weren't working. I was just frustrated with technology. So they're working today. A few things to check off the box before we get over to our conversation with Brooke. We are going to, my team doesn't even know this yet. Actually, I'm going to tell something on the air right now. They're like, what the fuck is he going to say? So we're launching a morning show. Yeah, Monday, Keith and Nicole, mornings in the lab. We're going to stream into LinkedIn, 7 a.m. till 8 a.m. Central Time. What the hell? Why not? I'm here anyways. I'm alive anyways. And I go Monday to Friday at noon with interesting people. So why don't we just add another hour to the day? So that's what we're going to try. Keith Bilous, Nicole Bernard, she's kicking off her journey. So Nicole's doing a journey, an ultra marathon, and she's going to document that journey here in the lab. It's a 100-day journey and a 100-day training journey to go to train for her ultra marathon coming up in June. But along the way, it's clear to me we're in that season right now where people are like, yeah, I want to run a marathon. I want to climb mountains. I want to do something. And I got tons of people knocking on my door. They're going, hey, Bilous. I'm like, yeah. Hey, can you be my accountability partner? I'm like, sure. I'm like, why would you ask me to do that? I'm like, well, because you're always around. You always show up. You're like the showing up guy. You're always around. So I figured if you're always around, you'll help me be accountable. I'm like, damn rights I will. So Nicole and I are like, wait a minute. Why don't we just help the world be accountable? People are hanging out on LinkedIn in the mornings anyways. Media is all over the place. So we're going to say, what the heck? Let's start that morning show. So mornings in the lab with Keith and Nicole are going to start on Monday. And what's it going to be? It's going to be a mix of laughter, coffee drinking, topics around business, topics around athletics, topics around performance, longevity, lifestyle. We're going to create content for you guys to kick off your day. That's the ambition. Create content to kick off your day to keep you all accountable to your goals. Because I know you all have big goals. We got big goals here. We're also launching bapl HQ, the world's first hybrid space for solopreneurs, creators, entrepreneurs. Yeah, maybe I'll show it to Brooke later if he's lucky. I'll show it to Brooke. Damn right I will. I'm even going to give Brooke a seat inside of bapl HQ if he likes. So that's launching around the corner. If you're a member of the lab, watch your inbox. You might get a secret invite. That's coming up soon. bapl HQ. Doors are open. Just quietly open them. There's only one of me. Then there's myself, and then there's the I part. So I just kind of, thirds and thirds and thirds. So that's coming up. bapl HQ, mornings in the lab coming up as well. A lot of content creating to help you guys be accountable, help you guys achieve your goals, and so forth. Before we bring Brooke in, subscribe. Go to the YouTube channel, Keith in the Lab, subscribe. Leave a review if you like the show. That would be really helpful for us. Go to the podcast machine. It's on beta or VHS. You know what I'm talking about? Yep. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Go say if you like the show, but start with 5. Start with the 5 stars, please. 5 stars. If you want to leave less, go to the boring and informed shows and leave less, but just leave 5 for us. That'd be awesome. And then last but not least, if you want to get content sent to your inbox exclusively, and if you want to get invited to the bapl HQ, the Business Athlete Performance Lab headquarters, you never know who you're going to run into those headquarters. You might run into an influencer, a creator, maybe a celebrity. Who knows? Yeah. Go subscribe inside bapl.ai. Okay, so enough for my chitter chatter, get at her. We're going to welcome the empire builder. He's sitting in the green room over there, wondering what he got himself into. So Brooke is a Tony Robbins disciple. I saw that he worked for Tony for a long time. Now he runs his own gig. But admittedly, when I was looking for guests and talking to people and people knocking on our door, I saw Brooke's profile and I was like, I want to talk to this guy. I'm curious about what got him to where he is today. I'm curious about empire builders, and I'm curious about life with Tony, because y'all know we had the Firewalker. Maybe Brooke knows the Firewalker. Dave Albin was in the lab a couple weeks back. And Dave Albin, the Firewalker, was walking his way through Tony Robbins' life. And I figured, hey, that was an interesting conversation. People were intrigued by that conversation with Tony. People were like, hey, what's Tony like? So I'm like, hey, Brook Bishop worked for Tony. And I'm sure Brooke doesn't want to talk about Tony the whole time, which is, I can appreciate that. So we're going to talk about Tony. We're going to talk about empire builders and talk about whatever the heck is going on in Brook Bishop's world. So let's turn the music down, just like that. Let's move the camera to the left. Let's bring Brooke up on stage, and let's look that way. What's up, Brooke?
What's going on, man? Dude, you've got your studio on lockdown. I'm impressed.
What do you think of that?
That's pretty crazy. I thought I was good with my hotkeys and making everything move. What? Do the switcheroo?
Look at that, hey, just boom, boom. Give you a solo presence all by yourself, hey, and then I'll do all cropped. Whoa, all the cameras are working. And then if I want, I can even do this with you too and just switch cameras and have a lot of fun. So, yeah. So to somebody listening, they're like, what the hell this guy's talking about right now? Well, right now, describing to you, Brooke is over there. I'm sitting over here and I'm flipping cameras around left and right. Now I'm on the wide left looking straight at Brooke on the big screen in front of me here. That's the screen that when I shot the welcome video, I told you were going to be on. So you're over there right now.
We got the podcast God complex going. It's awesome.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Yes, yes, yes. So Brooke, where are you joining us from today?
So I'm actually in northern Colorado. So I'm up in Fort Collins.
Nice. And how's the weather up there today? I know the weather's been nastier on North America all week, man.
Dude, it's actually crazy nice here. I think we're in the 60s, 70s. So spring has arisen. It's happening. So we're digging it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how's things? What's going on? You are an empire builder. And I said to the audience that when you hear empire, you see the logo, you start thinking Steve Buscemi, great TV show. And then Brook Bishop shows up.
Never been compared to Steve Buscemi, but I'm like, hey, that's cool. We'll take it.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So talk about empire builders and talk about Brook Bishop. Let's get the audience caring about you so that they don't go, I'm bored of listening to Bilous. I don't want to listen to Brooke. And they're gonna quickly leave right now. Hook them, Brooke. Hook them.
Bilous is very if you guys are leaving Bilous, he's got the perfect radio voice, and he's definitely a creative zest here. But no, my world comes from the world of personal development. I've gotten to work with some crazy characters. You mentioned Tony. He's one of the many characters in my world. But yeah, man, we got some crazy life experiences, and we've got to build businesses and transform people's lives all at the same time. So yeah, it's life's good in that respect. And when it comes to what we're doing, it really is it's a gift and a blessing of where I get to play. Yeah, because we're the tip of the spear. We're getting to help the people who are out there helping other people. So if we do our job right, they get to do their job and help more people in the process. Very cool.
You intentionally chose the word character. And I like that because there's a reason for the choice of that word.
And I would like to dig into the reason for the choice of that. And I'm gonna create my own perception of that before you answer. Okay. So I believe that the people you're referring to, like a Tony Robbins of some sort, and some of these leaders, these personas, have to be a character to have the type of success that they are trying to achieve. And allow me to finish my thought, because I've had this conversation a number of times while I've been creating this show. In many ways, one needs to create an exaggerated version of themselves, a caricature, in order to create the character for the audience to buy from. Would you agree with that, Brooke?
I would agree with that. And I would say there's definitely people that I've worked with where I'm like, who they are on stage and who they are off stage are radically different, right? Like they're stepping into a mode. With regards to Tony, I would honestly say he's very much the same person on stage as well as off stage.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about the career with Tony. As I said when I introduced you, it's what got me intrigued with you. And before we go there, did you know of Dave Albin, the Firewalker? Did you work with Dave? Is his name part
It's
of your
funny,
world?
his name has come up twice this last week. And in full transparency, you know, we be running events with 10,000 people.
Of course, Tony Robbins Nationals, thousands, right?
Well, but also doing firewalks, we'd be taking 10,000 people across fire lanes. So there was a lot of people on that team. It's funny, I've heard his name's come up twice in the last week. I don't know Dave personally. So yeah.
Got it. So what drew you into Tony? Let's start that journey, Brooke, with Tony. Where and why Tony Robbins?
Yeah. So when I was in high school, I was actually suicidal at the time. My uncle, who took me under his wing, was really my mentor. And he was actually training for Navy SEALs at the time. And he was listening to Bob Proctor and he was listening to Tony Robbins. And so through osmosis, I started hearing Tony's conversation back then. And it really got me through a dark time just at that point in my life. Then fast forward, I went to work with my uncle when he got out of the Navy, and we worked for his mentor. And we'd sit in traffic every single day, driving all over California, going and doing, you know, we would do sales presentations and we were doing different stuff. And we'd listen to Tony in the car. And there was this moment, and I remember sitting in traffic in LA, which just sucks for anybody who's ever, if you've been to LA sucks in general, but we'll just leave it at that. We were sitting in traffic and my uncle goes, "Hey, how cool would it be if one day we were on, we went to Tony Robbins Island and, we got to go sit down and, go to his resort that he has. Like, how cool would that be?" And it started this trajectory of, how cool would that be to actually work for him? Fast forward 3 years later, I got recruited by Tony's head of HR. And so found myself then working my dream job. My first day at the job, I went to go use the restroom and I opened the door and Tony's standing right there. And I literally went, "Holy shit." And he goes, "Yeah, you're in the right place." And that really was kind of just the kickoff to that. It was crazy. And working that first week working with Tony, it was like nothing I would have anticipated or thought would have been. I had all these fantasies in my head of what it was going to be like to work with Tony. And none of that was what that was like in that first week. So
let's hang on that. And it's, we have heard the cliche often, Brooke. We all put our pants on the same way, regardless if you're The Rock or Brook Bishop or Keith Bilous. To literally meet Tony Robbins coming out of the crapper, it just accentuates the fact that we're all just human. And I'm not trying to dwell on that humor, but for that to be your first meeting with him, and then you said that first 7 days was nothing like you thought it was going to be. Was it because it was actually more human and real than you expected it to be? Did you expect it to be some big rah like show circus, or explain when you say it wasn't what you thought it was going to be?
So couple pieces to it. So number one, what I didn't realize is Tony he's very rarely in the corporate offices, because every 3 days he's on a plane going to some other stage and he's traveling around the world nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
So to see him in that first week, I'm like, oh, cool. Like, he's here. But then to realize he normally was never there. So that was kind of the first little chance meeting of that taking place. The thing that really screwed with my head out of the gates, the first day when I drove into the office, in my mind, I'm thinking like, this is going to be this beautiful building, and it's going to have state-of-the-art technology, and it's going to have, this staff that knows what the hell they're doing. And that first day when I got walked to my cubicle space, literally the cubicle walls were falling. The computer that I was on was, had a giant floppy drive, just to give you an idea of how old it was. And the fan was so loud that people thought I was sitting next to the air conditioning unit because it put off so much noise. And somebody rather large had sat on the desk. So the drawers were basically stuck, falling out. And there wasn't even a chair in the office space. So I'm like, what the hell did I just get myself into? And what I didn't realize at the time, part of what was the setup was a principle for Tony that's really the cornerstone of his world is we either blame our lack of resources or we get really freaking resourceful. And so that first day I went to HR and I'm like, hey, my computer sucks. My desk, like, is this for real? And they're like, no, that's what we got. So I took the first lunch appointment that I had. I went to Home Depot and I had to go buy all kinds of parts to fix my desk. And I went and ordered myself my own computer because they didn't have one for me that would actually work. I went and got myself a chair that was actually a Pilates ball because I wanted to be able to at least move around. But that psychology of having to step in, whereas I thought it was going to be like the most incredible, space, it was a shit show and I had to go figure it out and I had to make it work on my own. So that really set that first domino of my success is going to literally fall into my own.
You had no choice.
Nope.
I had never heard that story before. That's a fascinating perspective of your first week within the job. You think you're going to the ivory tower because Tony Robbins is the man, but you're actually starting in the hen house, poorhouse.
Well, and that really set the cadence for you either kicked ass in his organization or it just wasn't the right fit. Like there was no room for the middle.
Mm-hmm. Keep talking about the journey through the organization because you were there for a long time.
I was there for a very long time. Yeah. So I did sales on the coaching side for about 7 years. And it was, in similar fashion, there was a yin and yang that was there. There wasn't a whole lot of structure, but Tony gave me full, like, he goes, hey, if you're serving people, if you're helping people, like he let the reins go where he let me do basically whatever I wanted.
Autonomy.
Yeah. Had a lot of autonomy. At that point in time, it was also when like 2008 and the financial bubble of crazy happened.
Mm-hmm.
So there wasn't a lot of resources that could be pumped back into the company.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I'm like, okay, well, if I can be resourceful, if I can be creative, and if I can pave my own way, I just saw it as an opportunity to just kick ass and crack the code. And the really cool piece was I was in a pressure cooker environment with Tony's brand where I could literally use it as a testing ground where I could try stuff that I couldn't try anywhere else. And I didn't have the volume of humans to test it on.
Mm-hmm.
So it just gave me this really unique experience. And the cool part was when it worked, Tony saw that as an opportunity where he goes, hey, if this is working here, this can work in the other departments. And so that's when he promoted me to start taking over some of the other divisions he had.
Because you weren't afraid to try, which really is a big part of that mantra as a leader is trying, attempting, and trying, literally just trying.
And I wasn't afraid to get in trouble. So that previous jobs that I had, there was very corporate and it was very much, you have to do things our way in the right, in their version of what their path was. And that bit me in the ass, right? That cost me my job at a couple different places prior. But then that being able to bring that kind of rogue maverick approach with somebody like Tony, he embraced it and he's like, no, run wild, run free, and let's see how this thing plays.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely made it a very cool match.
Brooke, Tony Robbins, comes from, pre-internet really. And as the internet was just in its burgeoning stages and so forth, can a Tony Robbins be created today from scratch?
So it's a really interesting question. So I'll hook it in with a story and I'll answer that. Went out to see Tony for an executive meeting. And as I was unloading my luggage from the Uber, I hear screeching hit right behind me. And it was Tony and his Range Rover. He rolls down the window. He's like, get in the car. And so he basically kidnapped me. That'll be a fun headline, but he kidnapped me, took me to the movie theater. And as we get out of the car at the movie theater, this guy comes walking up and he goes, I'm going to catch you. Because I'm going to be the next Tony Robbins. I'm going to catch you. And Tony gets a big smile and he goes, I welcome the challenge, but he goes, just understand something. By the time you get to where I'm at right here, I'm going to be that much further ahead. And so it wasn't this element of arrogance. It was really more from a place of confidence where he wanted to see that guy chase because that gave him the fire to keep moving. But he also knew that if you're coming down the same path, you're going to help a ton of people along the way. But just know I'm not stopping. And that's kind of, I think, one of the interesting pieces of Tony. It's not like he's hit this level and he's like, cool, like I'm the biggest name in the game of personal development and I'm just going to coast. Like his vision is so far beyond even his own lifetime. He has no slowing down in his.
Mm-hmm. Does it not? So this is what gets fascinating for me. So I'm a curious soul. Does it not become fascinating to you, Brooke, where, so Tony Robbins, I have nothing but respect for what he's built. And I'm certainly not here to dismiss anything that he's built. And anything I'm going to say next is not to be dismissive. He's taken evergreen content that resonates with human beings, has wrapped up wonderful marketing programs, the same way Nike sells running shoes.
You know, you can buy a running shoe for $8. You can buy a Nike running shoe for $800. It's a running shoe to put on your feet. And I don't want to debate technology, but we're talking business and marketing and how people feel. That's the point here. How people feel.
Yep.
Tony has done probably the best job in the world selling evergreen content, making people feel a certain way. Period. Agree?
I totally agree.
And that's it. That's really it, isn't it? Like, that's it. There's nothing, there's no magic to it. There's no sauce to it. He's created a very successful cult, and it is awesome.
He has. And part of that formula is so freaking simple.
Yeah.
And, you know, just with you having, you know, a show, there's this dynamic of people want to be entertained first and foremost.
Well, hey, listen, I'm not stupid. I'm sure you're watching what's going on here and you're thinking, okay, I see the playbook he's playing from. You know, I've been around the block a few times. I've seen what Tony's done. Like, I'm not here.
I was more impressed. I'm like, oh, this dude's actually freaking articulate. This dude knows how to manage his cameras. He's got his lighting set up. He's actually got a good voice. He's got intonation. He's owning his shit. I'm like, wow, this is a rare breed.
Brooke, the lighting is to make me look younger. I've learned that lighting, it makes 20 years off me. So that's why the good lighting is there.
I had hair when I started working with Tony, just so you understand. I get it.
Anybody listening, Brooke has no hair right now.
I have no hair. No, it's gone. But no, there is this simple formula that, and again, it's so simple and it's worked. And whether it's a cult or a following or raving fan clients or whatever that is.
Tribe, community.
Yeah. You know, there's this element of that Tony follows and he talks about it, which is entertain first, educate second, and then you empower third. And where most people screw that formula up is you see so many people that try and come into this space and they try and lead with education first.
Yes, that's boring.
But look at our education system. It's jacked because they're trying to freaking educate. Whereas kids, why do they go to YouTube? Because they want to be entertained.
You know what's interesting, Brooke, this is fascinating. You're saying this right now. I read a really fascinating piece on the weekend about what is news today. Like, what's the definition of news in 2024? And you know, and pundits and the experts in the article referred to, and it was some journalism professors, that news is largely marketing copy that's here to entertain you and entertain and inform you instead of inform you and give you some facts, because people now want an opinion. They want some color around it. They want there's more than just the sky is blue. Is it really blue, Brooke? You know what I mean? Like it's got some shades to it, and it's very different today.
No, they have spokesmodels and they have hooks and they have they've got high definition and they've got transition graphics and they've got multi-camera. I mean, it's a media outlet, but it's an entertainment vehicle, 100%.
Yes. So then back to that question. Is there the next Tony Robbins being born on YouTube today? And maybe not the next Tony Robbins is the right way to look at it, but it's fair to say the next generation of Tony Robbins are being born right now across the social platforms.
I think it's because of times being different, but with information being as accessible as it is. Tony blew up when infomercials popped.
Yes, the late night stuff, right?
Yeah, and there was only 40 TV channels at that point in time, so it's not like you had a whole hell of a lot of competition to go up against. Whereas in the world of today, you know, there's certain people that I would say are breaking into the space. The thing that makes Tony very interesting is he's become somewhat of the de facto in a multitude of areas. So relationships, health, business, finances, personal development. Like, he kind of owns a lot of different categories. Where I see the world shifting is there's a lot more in the niche. So you see like somebody like Ed Milet, right? So he's coming up huge in the space of like success and achievement in that category, you know, but you wouldn't go to Ed Milet and be like, hey, I want you to, you know, even though he's healthy, you wouldn't look at him as the de facto in the space of health.
Right.
So I just see more niche people starting to take off in different areas. But yeah, I mean, Tony's just an anomaly in my opinion. It's going to be pretty tough to play that game at the same level. All
right. So when I look at the clock, we are 30 minutes into our chat, and I promised you and I promised the audience we weren't going to just bore them with Tony Robbins chat, because we're not here to talk Tony Robbins the entire time. We're to talk Brook Bishop, empire builders. So your journey in life, you spent some time with Tony, you learned from Tony. You see Tony coming out of the crapper. You almost get kidnapped by Tony. The story of Tony, it's in the rearview mirror now. Here, entertain and inform. So let's move past Tony into the next stage of your life. And Empire Builders is around the corner. Go there.
Yeah. So on the heels of Tony. So again, we had pressure cooker environment to go test and build and try. And it was really science experiment in a lot of different ways. With that, I hit that threshold where I'm like, okay, Tony, he's going to be around for, let's say, another 15, 20 years in the game. I had to make some real tough decisions of, do I want to keep building and growing that direction with him? Do I want to take what I've learned and go help other people, that next generation? Do I want to give them the tools and the principles that I got to learn and test and hypothesize over and run huge ad spends against? Do I want to go help them grow their business? And that really is that tipping point where I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna make the jump, and that's where Empire Partners really came from. That ethos of let's help other people craft and build their empire. So yeah.
So you found a partner, or you had a partner, you found a partner, and what was that like establishing a business with a partner?
So there's actually 2 business partners that I have. So there's 3 of us.
Okay.
We will go in different ways. So we have a mastermind side that's, people want to come in, they just want to have the conversation and they want the accountability. We have that side of it. And then our true partners is for people who have an audience already and they're trying to figure out how to monetize that, or if they just want to stay in their lane of genius and just bring their message to the world, but they don't want to deal with the marketing or the sales or the technology or managing customer service and all those different pieces. We'll come in and bolt on and basically co-create a business with. So
oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting model. So explain that to me. So somebody comes to you and says, hey, I need some help. We're doing this. You're learning from them. It's appearing that they're disparate, perhaps unorganized. And you're saying to them, we and my team can add value to you. To do that, we would like to take an equity stake in your position, in your business, and help you guys. Is that what you're saying, basically?
Yeah. And each situation is a little bit different. So yeah, yes. So there's a yes and within that.
Okay.
So as an example, we have one of our partners. So she was in the real estate space. So she was one of the top, I'd say probably one of the top 10 realtors in Utah.
Yeah.
And when she came to us, she goes, hey, I'm doing really, really well in my real estate business, but I really want to break into and become a thought leader in the real estate industry.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a big jump of industry to go from, hey, I'm selling homes to I want to be an educator, I want to be a coach, and I want to be the person who's seen as the expert. So we came in and we went, great, what's your gift? What's your magic? What is it that you're doing that separates you from everybody that's in the space? So we pulled that content out of her, and then we built an entire brand, and we built programs, and we built coaching, and we built online hybrid programs, and those different pieces around her information.
Mm-hmm.
But she just gets to show up and be the expert. We did all the other pieces of that.
Long-term vision for Empire is what?
Our vision is to have 10,000 people in our mastermind in terms of being the go-to space in the world of coaching. So supporting everybody in terms of marketing, sales, and fulfillment. And then the ultimate goal for me is having 100 partnerships that are just light warrior, game changer type personalities that are out there doing really, really good work on the planet.
Yeah. So essentially having other coaches working with Empire and your team assisting them in driving their sales and their marketing efforts. So allowing the coaches to do what they do best.
Exactly. Letting coaches coach and letting them be there to bring their genius to the world and not getting bogged down in the business side. That's just a different part of the brain, different skill sets that they have to build up.
Mm-hmm. Brooke, I asked this question of somebody yesterday I sat down with who was also in the coaching industry. You have been, and he has been in the industry for over 30 years, probably not very dissimilar from yourself. When you wake up in 2024, I'm sounding like Barbara Walters here. 2020. Barbara Walters. 2020. When you wake up in 2024, do you find that there's more coaches than ever? And when you look at back when Tony was doing his thing and when you wake up today, does it seem to you, Brooke, like everybody's a coach?
Yes. In the same way I just mentioned real estate. It's like, throw a dart, you're going to hit a realtor. The tricky piece in the world of coaching, I just saw an ad that said yesterday, it was like $7 and become certified as a coach.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy crap, here we go. There is no governing body. There's no management. Anyone can say, hey, I'm a coach. And so there is a ton of people that are doing coaching as a side hustle, which can be scary in a lot of ways.
Yes.
It's also for people who want to monetize their message. There's also a lot of opportunity in that too. If you are wanting to create a side hustle and you want to get out of your job and do something that's perhaps more heart driven or something that you feel like you're contributing at a higher level, there's opportunity in that, but it's also a complete cluster when you're trying to figure out how to build a coaching business. If you suck as a coach, you're not going to get very far. If you suck at marketing and sales, you're not going to have very many clients and it's going to be a short runway. But yeah, now to answer your question, there's a lot of people who are coaches.
And it would appear that with the pandemic, it exacerbated that. And with people having access to
cameras and microphones everywhere. It's like, hey, I can connect with you. I can be your coach. Right? It's everybody appears to be a coach. And I'll be honest with you, as I stepped back into the world and started building the lab, it bothered me. I'm not gonna lie to you, it bothered me because I didn't want to build a quote unquote, and it's no disrespect, but just a coaching business because unfortunately too many people charging $7 to be certifying are wrecking it for people like yourself and maybe myself who are trying to build legitimate, significant, life-changing businesses. You follow me?
I totally follow you. And it brings both sides of the spectrum too. So
Yes.
you get people who are not qualified to coach in any way, shape, or form. And they're like, pay me money. I'm an expert. Just ask me. Right. And then you have the other side of the spectrum where you also have a lot of therapists who, this could open Pandora's box, but you have a lot of constraints from the medical side of things. So you have a lot of people who have a therapy model that because they don't want to be, handcuffed by the medical community, they go, oh, now I'm a coach, even though they're just doing therapy so that they can get out from some of those constraints too. So you actually have this mixing pot of chaos.
Right, because it's titles, right? So if you call yourself a therapist, the moment you call yourself a therapist, there's certain licensing bodies and perhaps messaging you should and should not say. But man, you call yourself a coach, you can just say anything.
Well, dude, here's the crazy piece. So not to go back to a Tonyism, but that first month that I was working with Tony, I was used to having conversations. People want to lose weight or they want to,
Yes.
my marriage is on the rocks or whatever's there. I want to make more money. I had a conversation with this gentleman and it started off like this. It basically went, hey, Brooke, I just want to let you know that depending on where today's phone call goes is a life and death situation. He goes, I just want to let you know, I have a gun on my lap. I've tried everything else. And this is the end of the road for me. If we can't figure out how to solve this thing, like this is it for me.
Goodness.
And so I wasn't trained or equipped to tackle something of that nature. Right. Like, I don't even think they had 800 hotlines for suicide at that point in time. But I was like, I had to hit mute. There was a lot of swear words that came out of my mouth, but I had to step into that space to like jump in and help him. But think about it from that vantage point. There's a lot of people that have slapped a sticker on their front door saying, hey, I'm a life coach.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not going to be working with people who are medicating or contraindicating their medication, or they're on, crazy, who knows what, or they have psychological stuff going sideways. And there is definitely we'll just call it a world of, I don't call it charlatans, but there's definitely a lot of people that are out there that are not equipped to be helping people at that level.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Of course. Yes, of course. I know, the gentleman I was speaking to yesterday, one of the first questions he always asks of somebody is, who's your coach? In other words, hey, Brooke, so who's your coach, right? Who are you to be the one coaching me? Right now, you look at your resume, you spent some time with some guy named Robbins, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe you have some credibility. I'm speaking tongue in cheek, but you're not some Joe Schmuckalowski who just woke up yesterday and is like, yeah, I've done a few things. I'm now going to tell people what to do.
But even that too, I mean, so yes, I worked with Tony for 15 years. I could have also just sat in the shadows and did nothing with the information.
Right. Yes.
And there are those people that work in those environments, or even there's tons of people that are chasing the badge and they're just getting certification after certification after certification. And that's cool that they've got an education and a knowledge bank, but that also doesn't mean that they know how to implement or integrate that content. And it sure as shit doesn't mean that they're able to give it to somebody else and get them to implement it and integrate it. So, my thing is always look at the fruit on the tree. I love the question of like, okay, great. Who's your coach? Who are you going to? Right? Are you eating your own cooking? And the biggest piece is results. Like, are you getting results, and are the people you're working with getting results? That's the golden ticket.
And how, and I guess depending on how those results are defined, ultimately.
Yeah. Here's the way I look at coaching. Can you get to the top of Mount Everest on your own? Yes. Can you get there faster with a Sherpa? And can you reduce the amount of risk? Yes. And that's really where coaching comes into play. Is it's just a matter of can they help you get to a specific destination faster with less speed bumps or roadblocks along the way? Hopefully they help prevent you from dying. That's usually a really good indicator.
Yeah.
But that's really where I see it coming into play of, okay, great. You hired this coach to get you XYZ solution or result. Did they get you there? Did they get you there in record time? And can you repeat it?
Yeah.
Right?
Brooke, what's the role of AI playing in today's coaches?
Ooh, loaded question. We're actually in the middle of building out an AI right now. So I look at AI just at least where the knowledge base of it is right now, or to the degree of the quality of it, of what it's putting out, helping people get into the red zone. For anyone who's looking at AI to get them into the end zone, I'm just not seeing that it's that good yet. Obviously, at some point it will be, but it can help shortcut massively when it comes to supporting with creating content. It can support massively when it comes to writing emails, or when it comes to writing articles, or when it comes to again, content creation.
Sure.
I just see it as a tool. But again, just like anything else, just like in life, like the quality of answers we get come from the quality of the questions we ask. That's a fascinating piece I see with AI is the better your questions are, the better the answers it can kick out. But I'm also seeing is most people have pretty crappy questions. But yeah, what were your thoughts and where were you headed with that one?
Do you see AI as an adequate replacement for a coach where my daughter Brooke, generation AI, going to be very comfortable her talking to large language models?
She's got a good name, by the way.
Of course. Yes. That's what I had to
yeah. So I think it's funny because Tony just launched his AI, which is you can ask him questions, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's built on Meta's large language model, right? It was as much a Zuckerberg. Let's find some high profile people. And it's of course you're going to build Tony. Like, let's think about how much petabytes, not even tera or gigabytes, how much petabytes of content has Tony created over the last 50 years? There is easily the ability to create a Tony right there.
What most people don't know about Tony. So every single event, every single interview, every single meeting we ever had was recorded and stored.
There you go.
There's literally 50 years of every single day, every time there was a meeting happening, all of that was captured.
Wow.
Which is bonkers, right?
Yeah. So there you go. Right. So it's easy to create an AI Tony. And so how's that working out? Have you heard, or what's that?
The volume of data that they have, I mean, I don't even know if they have a way of bringing that in. There's also the piece too of his content evolved over the course of time. So it's like, which version of Tony do we actually want to bring into the fray?
Oh yeah.
So his stuff is more the way that the AI is set up at this point, at least from what I've seen with it and played around with it a little bit. It's more of like, if you were to ask Tony a question, what answer would Tony give?
Right.
Now, where I truly see the true benefit of coaching is instead of a coach answering your questions for you, the coach is going to help you ask better questions, and they're going to ask you the questions so that the answers can come up. So it's almost like I see if AI became the coach, it almost needs to be the opposite, right? Where you're having a conversation with the AI should be really asking you the questions versus you asking it the questions. So yeah, I don't know. I think that there's definitely some interesting ways that it could play over the course of time. I think when it comes to finding solutions, if you're stuck in a solution-based problem, like you need an actual strategic problem to get out of the hole that you're in, I think it can be very invaluable, right? Because it's like, here's 3 different ways you could get out of the hole. And here's what we've seen, how it's happened with other people. And based on your personality profile, here's where I see that this thing could happen. I see that as being very, very valuable. One that we're in conversation with at this point is personality profiles with AI as a bridge.
Oh,
so
talk about that.
So are you married?
Yep.
Okay. So what's your wife's first name, just for reference?
Lauren.
Lauren. Okay. So let's just pretend you and Lauren, you guys are having, let's just say there's a hiccup in the relationship, right? That would never happens, right? So imagine you would go to your AI and go, okay, so here's my personality profile. You put in, let's say, your disc profile or whichever profile's in there. And Lauren has an app on her phone and she puts her profile in there. And you say, here's the challenge I'm having with Lauren right now. And so to have that AI go, okay, well, based on your profile and based on her profile, and this being the challenge, here's how we'd recommend you, and it basically asks you, what's the outcome you want? Here's how we'd recommend you communicate this to your spouse.
Conflict resolution.
Yeah. And so imagine how that could be with parents with their teenage kids.
Or organizations at work dealing with employees or so forth, right?
Yep. Or here's what we keep running up against. Here's the hiccup we're having with our clients, and we're not communicating this properly to them, right? So there's a lot of those pieces I could see in terms of as a tool, it could definitely come into play. So yeah, I don't know. AI is definitely going to be an interesting game.
Are you finding, Brooke, and again, I'm fascinated because you've been in the coaching industry for so long, and it's a human industry. It's human to human industry. Yet over the last 18 months or so, there's been this preponderance of news and conversation around, large language models and the world changing with AI and machines. Is that getting in the way of your conversations, or are you finding humans are thriving for more humans than ever before?
I think that's always going to be there. I think it's just such a deep core need of ours as human beings to have connection and real connection. I'm looking at AI from the perspective of it as a tool. So just like the internet, like, did the internet help us in a lot of ways? Yes. Did it hurt us in a lot of ways? Yeah, it did, actually. Will AI help us in a lot of ways? Yes. Will it streamline things? Will it speed things up? Will it allow certain things to move more quickly? Heck yeah. I mean, even if you think about it right now, like you're able to hit that button, right? I mean, if we go back 20 years ago, that required a team of 20 people sitting at a freaking mix board and like plugging shit in all over the place to just be able to make the cameras go from one to the other, right? You can actually, I just saw a piece of tech last week that you could, in the very near future, like we're talking months, you'd be able to have the thought of switching the camera and it's going to automatically roll.
It's interesting you say that, Brooke. I was talking to a friend of mine who was recently caught up in the Canadian news industry's media cuts, and, had been an employee of the national broadcaster for 25 years. And we were chatting last week. I said, hey, you should come do news for me. And I said, just come do a 20-minute block. She's like, oh, that'll take me 6 hours to prepare. I'm like, no, not 1980 style news. No, like not news made with a couple $100,000 a year camera person and an editor and all this infrastructure required. No, just you and your phone. You know what I mean? Like, so different compared to how things were made before.
Well, and even just the AI being able to edit and take snippets. One of the things we're doing, so so I'll let the cat out of the bag a little bit with what we're doing. So we're in the process of building out, we're actually maybe a month away from going to our beta for it, which is an AI that if you're a coach, so here's the biggest challenge in the coaching world from a business aspect, is speed to the market.
Yes.
To see, like, does your niche actually have a marketplace? Can you actually charge for it? So what we're in the final stages of development on is you'd be able to put in your client avatar, and there'd be prompts to help you get there. You would put in what your expertise is and the problems that you solve. And lickety split, you could have your website up, you could have your marketing assets created, and you can go to market and actually test to see, is there a marketplace? Can I actually go generate clients in this space? And that's for most coaches. They want to coach, they want to help people, but they get stuck in, like, I have one of our members in our mastermind, 6 months, he's been spinning around in circles trying to get his website done because he's afraid of putting himself out there. And what if this, I want to coach people, I want to help people, but I don't want to have to go do the business piece. So we're helping him navigate through that to get things up and running. But imagine with the tool of AI, you could put in 5 or 6 things and your whole system's up and running. So, and again, there's a yin and yang there.
Yes.
They can quickly get up and running, launching and moving. They also can get quickly up and running and launching and moving and helping more people quickly, if their intentions and if their skill set's solid.
Yeah. Brook Bishop, Empire Partners. As we wrap up the chat today, is there anything I haven't asked you about that you want to make sure the audience knows about? You gave a reveal a few seconds ago. You kind of, you broke some news to the audience. Where can people find you? How can people get a hold of you? What have we not talked about today that you want to make sure the audience knows about and we get on tape?
Yeah.
Before we say goodbye.
On tape. Yeah, the biggest one is this. If you have a message, if you have a mission to help other people, and if you're stuck in that space of, I just don't know how to get my business moving, I don't know how to go get clients, or I don't know how to enroll these clients, or I don't even know how to structure that piece of the puzzle, just know that we can help you. Literally, we actually have a whole training. It's a free training on launching your own business as a coach. If that's something that really interests you, you want to be out there helping other people, or you just want it as a side hustle so you can supplement your income and serve, let us know. We'd be happy to help you in getting that built out. Our big piece is if you've got a message and you want to monetize that as well as serve humanity, we're here to help you make that happen. So,
and how do they find you, my friend?
Oh yeah, sorry, empirepartners.io. So empirepartners.io.
empirepartners.io. Awesome. Brook Bishop, thanks for joining me today here live in the lab.
Thank you for having me, man. This has been super cool. Truth be told, I was a little caught off guard. I was like, oh shoot, we're doing this thing live and we're in rhythm. And you're man, you had killer presence right out of the gates.
I appreciate that. Yeah. So we so you'll know where I'm coming from with what I'm going to tell you next. You've been around the block a few times. You got a podcast and so forth. You've been on other podcasts. And we talked about branding and marketing earlier. Well, I'll tell you, Brooke, when I started this thing, I didn't want to create a podcast because there is coaches, there's like a perception, right? And rightly or wrongly, I don't care. It's not the point. I'm a marketing guy. I didn't want to create a podcast. Right. So if you remember Salesforce, when they launched, they created the logo of the strike through the software, right? Even though they're software, but they created a marketing platform saying they weren't software. So I am not a podcast, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. I am a show, right? Entertain and inform. So it was just that idea of drawing some lines in the sand around things that people are using, but just trying to change perceptions, right? And then doing it daily, associating, like I was raised and perhaps you were raised with, knowing Letterman's on every night at 11:30. And I know the world doesn't work that way. But the world still does work that way because we still know what 12 o'clock comes. We still know 6 o'clock comes and we still work with time. And like I said to my wife, I'm alive and awake at noon anyways. So what the hell? I might as well do a show at noon. And if I'm recording it anyways, I can play the marketing angle, Brooke, and say, well, I'm going live. right? Even though it's a podcast at the end of the day, it's recorded, right? So, but it's just been fun, right? So
awesome. Love the platform. Love the way that you're doing it too. So killer way. And obviously you've got the right personality and the right intention to make it rock. So
we're having fun. We're having fun. I appreciate that. And we're launching our bapl headquarters, the world's first creative creator hybrid space. Best way I would probably be able to describe it to you would, Adam Newman launched WeWork, right? Bunch of shared office buildings around the world, right? Places for people to go and interact and work in a real space. So bapl HQ is just that. It's a virtual workspace for people to come hang out, bump into others, have a shared space, connect with others and so forth. So that's going to be unveiled here very soon. We're excited about that, but yeah, that's coming out here soon too. So
please send me information on that. This sounds like the world needs that. Just we were talking about connection more than anything else.
Yeah.
People need connection. They need other people. They need those solutions. So kudos to you for building that. Killer.
I'll give you an invite. I'll get you an invite. I'll get you in there. Awesome. All right, Brooke, I'm going to stick you back in the green room and come back and say goodbye. I'm going to go say goodbye to my audience and come back and walk you out. Okay.
Cool.
Hang tight. 1 second. No, that was the wrong button. It's my show, not his show. Yeah, that's exactly it. So now we're going to go here. We're going to do this. And I need to play some tunes out of here. There we go. All right. So that was good. Great conversation with Brooke. I hope you guys enjoyed it like I did. I really wanted to hammer it on coaching today. It's been Brooke's life, right? So he's brought a lot of experience to the table, shared with us, shared his Tony Robbins experiences, shared the Empire Partners experience, shared how he fits with you as an aspiring coach, right? How he can help you. Fascinating industry to me, as I have been learning more about it every single day sitting here in the lab. All right, so I'm going to get out of here. I got some people to show around headquarters today, bapl HQ. If you're interested, you can get in too. Drop me a note. All I need is your email address, and I'll get you inside the doors. So you know where to find me. I'm here Monday to Monday, 7 days a week, because we always show up live in the lab. I'm out of here. We'll see you guys tomorrow.